Today, we're going to talk to one of our BudgetDog Academy students, Kirk Hepker, one individual that is a hero, somebody that became a millionaire during the academy, has changed his whole family's life, and to me is one of the greatest students that have ever walked to BudgetDog Academy. And I'm super excited to share his story today and what he's been able to do. So let's get after it, man. You came in the academy on fire. I remember specifically. So this is funny. It was in our house in Northern Kentucky. For anyone that's listening, you guys know we moved across the country to Texas, and then after we moved to Texas, we had a house with mold and mycotoxins. We moved to a new house. So this is 3 houses ago. Kirk, I remember specifically having your initial call with you, and you were fired up, man. And I knew instantly when I talked to you, I was like, I have a really good sense of like who's going to do well, who's not going to do well. Right off the bat, like who's actually going to be committed to changing their life. And like you came with some fire. Talk me through that process of like even getting to a call for BudgetDog Academy, what you saw before as part of my content, how long were you following, what you saw that was the reason you joined and the reason you wanted to, you even have the conversation about joining. Walk me through that process.
Yeah, I've probably been following you for like, I don't know, it was probably at least a year, right? And my wife is actually the one that found you the first time, and she's like, "Hey, Kirk, you need to follow this guy." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, I am, yeah, sure." So I jump on there and I start listening to your content, um, and a lot of it made sense. And why it actually started resonating with me too is because me and her made good money, right? We were making great money. But every time we'd sit down at the dinner table and talk about something, I was like, where is it? Like we were always like, where is this money? Right. So yeah, I kept on following you, and it just kept on resonating more. And then eventually I said, hey Yan, which is my wife, she's like, or I said, yeah, I think I want to like join this guy has an academy. I think I want to join Budget Dog Academy. Just like talk to him and check it out and see what's going on here. That way maybe we can figure out, just like how he's helping other people, what are we doing with our money? Like what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
So then yeah, so then I jumped on that call with you, and you know.
Yeah, and really to this day, man, how much energy you bring to just the academy, but even our friendship that's been built over the years as well. It's awesome. It's good to see like even new students come into the academy and you bring that light to them. But you've had a story of your own, and I really want to touch on that. You mentioned your wife Yan. You haven't mentioned yet, but I know specifically Caden, Lulu, Leo, the whole crew. Those are his children. Walk me through their experience, so kind of what they've learned through the process, because I know that you mentioned a lot about I talk to Leo and Lulu on the calls sometimes. They attend the calls.
Yeah.
Talk me through that. What kind of impact has that left on the children's lives?
Actually it's left a huge impact. Like I can't even tell you. For instance, every time, we're going to a store, we're doing this or that, Lulu will always say stuff like, "Hey dad, is that in your budget?" I mean, so I actually got her talking money. And like, she, recently how she did that lemonade stand, for it's a good instance.
You
She's
made
at,
a bunch of money, like $200.
yeah, she made like $200, and the next day it wasn't so bad, or it wasn't so good. Like she only made like $10 the next day, right? But
Yep.
uh, she said, I was sitting there and I was talking to her about how money worked, because if she wanted more supplies, she'd have to bring it out of her stuff. And I was like, she was all, "Dad, I only made $10 today." I go, "Well, that's just like, just like these investments. I mean, sometimes they go up, sometimes they go down. It's this is how it works." And so, like the impact of this whole thing, my son Leo is like a little too young, but I've
Yep.
been talking to my son Caden about it, and I actually think that eventually he probably jump in the Budget Dog Academy, because he's wanting to start his own business, and he's always hearing me talk about you and this program, and always asking me questions. So I think I'm about this close to getting him jumped in there. But yeah, I mean, the whole family is aware of money, and uh, definitely making conscious efforts to do better things with it, put it in the right place, and just be consistent with it all. So it's literally impacted my entire family, from how we do things to even my marriage, like everything. It has just absolutely been like the biggest blessing I think I've ever had. That's for sure.
What would you account or what would you attribute to the change that's really happened within the family? Is it access to community? Is it just the education you learned that you've been able to help them with? Like, what is that like one big thing that the academy provides that's helped the family the most?
Um, I mean, obviously the education has helped tremendously because it's just opened our eyes and, you know, every now and then, you know, how couples will have a little bit of argument about money and how you do stuff with it. It's definitely just opened up our eyes to not only work together with it, you know, like stand beside each other and actually want it to do the same thing, go to the same place. And I think that's probably been the biggest, but there's also the access bet. I mean, there's so many people that come from so many different backgrounds. And I mean, I don't know how that couldn't be helpful. You know, I mean, so yeah, it's impacted us in so many ways, man. It's absolutely been incredible.
Yeah, and I really want to expand, in the physical realm as well. Tom's joked multiple times about the Dumb and or what is it, Dumb and Dumber van with like the two dudes are on the side, but myself and Tom, and he's talked about literally doing a road show around like the United States and like meeting up with our students, and because we're all so spread out, so it's so hard to say, hey, we're all going to be here at this time for everybody. It's like we have to physically go to different locations, and we were thinking about opening different chapters and taking this to a whole nother level, so we're really excited about that. One thing you mentioned was the relationship side of things. So we actually have tonight, it's called the Millionaire Couples. And so if anybody's listening to this is obviously pre-recorded, but the Millionaire Couples event is going to be tonight. We're going to talk specifically to couples that want to get their money right, the psychology, the relationship side of things, all of that stuff that goes into a relationship. What impact did the academy have on you when it came to relationship specifically? Not even money necessarily, but that conversation around money itself, and just like that, I guess that closer type of conversation.
Yeah. So money sometimes, like, you know how we always talk, money's like an emotional thing, right? I mean, there's so many emotions and thoughts around money. And when two people have two different ideas what to do with it, you know, you start button heads and um you know, it a lot of actually just a lot of argument for a while. Like she wanted to do one thing with it and I wanted to do the other. And as I kept on going through this course, and then, you know, when it comes time to do the budget thing where you wanted the spouse, you know, husband, wife sit down, do the budget together, it actually brought us closer together too, because you know, we were on the same page finally. We were never really on the same page with money.
Hmm.
And so when we'd sit down and do these budgets, we would both know exactly where things are going, what we could do with it, what we wanted to do in the future with it. And it solidified us being not just husband and wife, but an actual team. And
Love
to
that.
me, that was one of the biggest things that has ever happened to us. Um, you know, money's important. Money is important. I mean, you need money for a lot of things, but the one thing that we did need was me and her to finally come together, and this helped. This did it. I mean, we're solid now, and
That's awesome.
yeah, it's been
You
amazing.
said there was no structure, there was some poor mindset and bad decision before and prior. What was that like for the relationship? Like what type of things happened as a result? What kind of conversations were happening? And then obviously we know what happened after the case. You guys got on the same page, but what type of environment was that? Like if you really pull behind the, curtains and share those details, what was that like on a daily basis? Because I think a lot of people face the same thing. This isn't like, specific to you guys. This is everybody. What was that like?
It to be honest with you, it was an absolute mess.
Hmm.
It was an absolute mess because uh, I wanted to do one thing with it, and she wanted to do another, and we both, like I told you, had our own thoughts and ideas on how we should be spending the money. And the bad thing is because we never sat down and really actually talked about it and tried to, you know, come together with, you know, not only our finances but everything. We I would do one thing with our money and she would do the other, and we wouldn't communicate about it. You
Yeah.
know, I would go off and do one thing and or buy something or you know something small, and then she would do the same thing, and then we'd wonder where the money went. And the communication was just awful. We just
Yeah.
never communicated, and so it created a lot of tension and a lot of, well, we make good money. Where the heck is it? And it was just an absolute mess. Like I can't tell you how um just chaotic life would get sometimes. And yeah, it was
What
awesome.
give me an example of something that you where you went some one way, she went another.
Yeah, yeah. So I started, like, for instance, investing in Bitcoin, you
Yep.
know, and you know, just small pieces because even back then it was, you know, I didn't quite have my money right, like I said, so I wasn't able to buy a lot. But I would start like kind of pivoting into buying some Bitcoin and didn't let her know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's dumb, right? I also bought a truck. You know, I just came home with a truck. I'm like, hey, honey, look what I got. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like,
Yeah.
I needed a vehicle, you know, and
Yeah.
she did the same thing with some stuff. You know, she went out and, you know, bought a few things with some of her girlfriends when they went out, and we're like, oh my God, well, now how are we gonna pay for this? Even though we're making great money. I mean, so it just it was not working. It was not
Yeah.
working. So we needed a solution. And you know, I started following you. I got to thinking that this might be the way. I didn't know how much it would actually help with finances or
Y-
with actual relationships,
Yep.
but it's amazing how close money and relationships are actually tied together, especially, you know, married couples. It's insane. I never in a million years would have thought that it was that close, I guess.
It's crazy, man. Like you see it all the time because you got to think about it. Like every day that you walk out of your house, like I was joking, I was like, I drove the other day. We were driving and we stopped to get gas. There's money right there. We stopped to get the girls' waters, but then we got protein shakes within the end of the place as well. And then the girls were screaming for Chipotle on the way back, and it was like you leave the house and you spend so much money. Everything we do, every decision we make probably has some sort of a cost to it. And that takes a toll on people. And those little things that pile up throughout the day, it's a big thing. Like death by a million paper cuts is what I like to say.
Yo, man.
What was your breaking point? Like what was that point? Was it when you joined the academy? Was it before? Was it after? What was that like big breaking point of like I have to fix this? And Yan thought the same thing as well.
Yeah, I actually specifically know. So at that time, we actually started buying some rental properties, and um, you know, rental properties are expensive. You know, like when you're setting them up, and you know, once you get them going, and so the money wasn't coming in right away, obviously, because we were setting things up, but yet we were still kind of doing our own things, and we put ourselves in quite a bind to the point where we almost didn't have the down payment. Actually, this is almost embarrassing, but we almost didn't actually have the down payment to actually buy the rental property because we had it set aside. But then we both thought we were making our own good decisions with what we wanted to do with the money. And then when we went to do this, it wasn't there. So we actually had to sell a food truck that we had to actually make the down payment. And then that's when me and her looked at each other and said, what are we doing?
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
we got to fix this, because I could see the tension building so much that I knew that our relationship was not going to go in a good direction. And I
Mm.
mean, not.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so that's when she finally said, go for it, Kirk. You know, go
Yep.
for it. She was a travel nurse. She would have joined in a little bit more of it since she was traveling, which was the other part of the thing, you know, always gone, her doing her own thing when she was gone, and then me at home with the kids, taking care of all this stuff. The communication was just not there. Things come to just an absolute like Hurricane Katrina storm, you know, it just got
Yep.
awful. And that's when we finally said, okay, we got to do something, or me and you are going to be okay. And
What was it like?
so,
What was it like growing up for both of you guys around money? You guys remember like what it was, how you guys thought about money growing up, you yourself and her?
yeah, actually, yeah. So I know me growing up, my family didn't have a whole lot of money. I mean, my dad worked at the bentonite plant, you know, making like, you know, back in 1980 something, you know, he was making like $12 an hour. And back then that was just great money, right? And my
Yep.
mom was a stay-at-home mom. So we were writing what they called like whole checks just to buy groceries, Yeah, we didn't get a lot of extra. What we had is what we had. I mean, I had clothes on my back, roof over my head, but there was not a lot of extra anything.
Yep.
And with my wife, it was, she went to boarding schools, so she had kind of a totally different thing back in China. Her parents sent her boarding school, but they were kind of maybe a little bit better off than what we were, but still people were trying to make ends meet and survive. So the money wasn't real prevalent for either one of us when we were growing up. So we didn't have a whole lot of understanding of it, and our parents never talked to us about it either. So we were just kind of in the dark, I guess.
Yeah. I see that very common, like, myself included. I did not grow up with education around money. And I see this play out majorly in couples. It's kind of like people fear the unknown. And so if you don't know about money, but it's every single day in your face, you're like, why? One, there's shame around that. It's like, why don't I know? A lot of people shame themselves. There's no reason to do so. But a lot of people feel uneasy about it. So you introduce something that happens every single day. You introduce the unknown of the impact of what is going every single day. And then you put two different people in the same room sharing the same resource of the unknown, essentially. And it creates a disaster for so many people because of the psychology that goes into it. And so that's why we bring Heather, our behavioral psychologist, into the academy. This is why we talk about relationships so much, marriages. And by no means am I a marriage counselor, but we've seen marriages come together multiple times. We had one of our students, Elaine, she didn't talk to her husband for 25 years. And she came to the academy in tears, upset. I just want to fix this. He did not join. He did not participate. In about 4 months after she started, she came to me and was crying again, but in happy tears. And she said, this is the first time in 25 years I've talked to my husband about money, and he was accepting, he was conversating, he was listening to your calls. Like, he was having such a different reaction we've had the last 25 years. She's like, I'm forever grateful. This literally saved our marriage. I thought it was going down the drain. Like, those types of impacts are what we live for here, obviously. And it's great to hear the story behind the scenes of you. What are the good things that came from this? Because I know there's a lot of, one, we became millionaires. That's kind of a big deal. Um, but walk me through all the the adjustments you had. I see HSA, I see 401k, I see Roth IRA, I see taxable brokerage, I see 529, weekly buying the Bitcoin, private equity deal, and syndications, all while buying all this real estate in such a short time and becoming a millionaire. Like, walk me through that.
Yeah. So, as we started going through the course and putting our money, like putting our heads together on where we wanted to go with our money, and realize, okay, hey, we need things for retirement. Like it seemed like we were just living for today, and separately, mind you, for a while, but living for the day. So then we came together, like I said, joined this class, and realized, okay, so, we don't have a lot going on for the future. We had the 401k, and she was, we maxing that out, and stuff like that. But then I realized, well, what about our kids? What about this? What about that? So we put together this budget where we tried to put, I think we even went overboard, where we put every dime we possibly could minus just enough. Like, literally, I keep like 4 or 5 grand in my checking account. That's it. And that is literally for like bills and, oh, Leo wants some Legos or something. But other than that, man, we put that stuff in the HSA. Every dime I get, that taxable brokerage is like my best friend, man. And if I can feed them as much as possible, man, I keep sticking every little extra dime I can there. And then
Hey, Leggers are investments, supposedly.
yeah, supposedly. He might be my engineer, I guess, someday. I don't know. But it even took me to a standpoint where, so I just became a great uncle, and I'm actually thinking about opening up an account for him.
That would be
And like
amazing.
the earliest, how could you start any earlier than day one, right? And
Great.
then just see where that'll take, just almost for an experiment for me, but yet to also set this guy up, because on the other side, I've been trying to talk to, my family about money and get them on the same page. And some people are receptive, some people aren't, right?
Naturally.
Like you say, you can't help everybody.
Yep.
So I can see that uh, his life doesn't look like it would be how I would want mine. So as like a great uncle, I'm kind of maybe just hopefully not overstepping my boundaries, but just kind of thinking that I need to leave him a little legacy because the money mindset on the other side there is totally whacked out. So
Man, anytime you can get into their ear as children in a positive light, it's always just, I think that's heroic. I really do. I think those are, I think heroes, we talk about them wearing capes and, them being in cartoons, but I think a hero is you. Somebody that came in to that kid's life and has changed it and actively trying to change it for the better. I think that's an amazing, amazing story. And people like you don't get enough credit.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, the, I wouldn't have never had this mindset either, though. Like, I mean, I gotta owe it to not only the academy, but I mean, I gotta owe it to a lot of those people inside the academy too. There's so many people with so many different thoughts and ideas, but yet, being in this community, our mindsets are kind of the same. We're all wanting to get our money right. We're wanting to take care of our family. We want to enjoy life, and it's been, man. I guess it's just been a blessing because although you only, how do I put this? You're only as good as the people you hang around, right? And,
And
and, and this community has got to be one of the best places for me. Even my wife said that the other night. She's like, you on the old call again, huh?" Is there, I said, "Honey, is there a better place? I could be out at the bar drinking and throwing my money all over, but I don't drink, one. And those people there aren't my kind of people. These are my people." So
yeah.
she's like, "Yeah, I agree."
I love it, man. And you have obviously lifetime access, so it's a community that you build upon, and you see, obviously we add education, there's more people that join. It's a bigger and better family every single day. There's more people going in the same direction. I think there's power in numbers as well. As like if you see other people doing it, like you mentioned, you're around them, you're naturally going to level up. You're naturally going to be doing what they're going to do because that's just human nature. And so it's not even trying to fight human nature. It's trying to re-engineer yourself to align with your human nature in a good way. And it's very easy to go the opposite direction. Like you said, you hang out at the bar with the wrong people, you're going to probably drink a lot. You're probably going to be unhealthy. Like there's, no judgment or shame there, but it's just the reality. And so if you put yourself in those circles, good things happen with time. Now, one thing I want to end on here, you became a millionaire like during
Yeah.
this process. That's an incredible thing. And I remember specifically recently we had a live call that you were on and you asked what next. Walk me through your mindset with that because of what you built and like what were you thinking? Like what is next? Like what walk me through that.
This is gonna sound maybe strange to people that I I had everything going right. Like I remember just being on fire. Like you know, I got everything's automated, so I'm not doing anything on my own. Like I got
So you have
this
all your
figured out.
financial system, everything's chilling. You're like, I'm making money, I'm building my wealth. I'm sitting, I'm doing nothing technically.
Yeah, I got it, the boredom of not having to be so active with it kind of made me nervous and actually almost made me realize, am I falling back to like what I was before, like not doing the right thing? It's believe it or not, it's a hard adjustment. Like to know that things are okay because before they weren't,
Yeah.
and they were so bad before, and they're so good now. Like I was like, okay, I'm missing something. I'm missing something. Brennan would chew me out if I wasn't, you know, there's something I'm missing. So I was like, I just got to get on there and ask, like, hey, am I supposed to be? Is there another account? Is there another investment? Is there something I should be doing? Because this just doesn't. It doesn't feel like it feels right, but it's weird, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's a very valid thing. So I think this is a thing I've actually kind of addressed myself internally, and I never really thought like a lot of students have just started, right? Or they're like within a 1 year, 2 year period. So like the 10 years I have on my side, like that just hasn't happened naturally through the academy. But I think that a lot of students are going to get to that point where you are. It was a very weird adjustment for myself. It was like, where do I spend my time? Because everything I did was around building a system, which was active at the time because I was learning how to build a system, till all of a sudden, like everything's working. And it's like it's a great feeling, like you mentioned. And it's hard, and it's very hard to explain until you get there. It's like, okay, I'm literally a multimillionaire. You're a 1.5, 1.6 last time we counted, and you're going to be a multimillionaire within very soon. It's going to continue to grow, and you're sitting here thinking, I'm not doing anything because I built a system that does it for me, which is the beautiful thing about this. What I've leaned into personally is being able to give back, like helping you guys on a daily basis. Like, I don't theoretically have to do the academy, obviously, as you know, with where we're at, but like, this is what lights me up. This is what excites me. I love doing this. I love helping people. And I always lean into the idea of service and being able to give back. It's spending your time now teaching and giving and doing all these things because you're in a position that you can do that. And I don't think hardly anybody gets to your position. In most of life, they're fighting to survive. And that's a big adjustment when you're surviving for 30, 40, 50 years of your life. And all of a sudden you figure it out and you're like, where do I don't have to survive. I don't have to, grind it a 9 to 5 for 60 hours a week. I can go do other things. I can live life. And we've been trained so much to be grinding, to be doing, to be acting. And people aren't good at sitting still as a result because we're survival animals. So we're in the survival instinct, but now we have everything we need. And it toys with our emotions. It toys with our psychology. And it's another level, I think, to this game you have to get used to. And it's not like I can just tell somebody this and they'll just shift. It's finding yourself and finding your true identity of who you want to be, because now you have the option. And that's a
Yeah,
very powerful shift to optionality into choice, which at one point you didn't have because you were surviving. You were just surviving. Now you have options. And I think that's a really cool place to be.
yep. One of those options happened the other day. You had your call going on, and I was swinging Leo in the park, listening to you guys, running around with Lulu. And you know what? I wasn't doing anything wrong.
Yep.
I was enjoying life, and it was amazing. Yeah.
It's amazing to hear, man. Just what you've been able to do in such a short amount of time. I can't imagine like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, like the impact you're going to leave for you, just not even yourself, but your family and other people, and just the growth I've seen in such a short amount of time. I'm inspired by you, man. You're a literal hero.
Yeah. I appreciate that, but I got to be honest with you. It's mentors and community that help me get there. We don't do things alone in life, and
I agree.
I'm just as inspired and truly heartfelt for all of you guys. So
Awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on here today and sharing your story. And I know there will be a lot more story to share down the road as well.
yeah, absolutely, man. I plan on doing a lot of stuff like I'm ready to give a little bit more and help out, and that's part of the reason why I'm in the academy too. Just I love helping others, so we're gonna see what the future holds, man.
Love it, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, sounds good, man.
You've been listening to Money on My Mind with your host, Brendan Schlagbaum. If you found value in today's discussion, share it with someone who could benefit from it too. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, so you never miss a money mastery tip. Until next time, stay passionate about your financial journey and keep taking bold steps towards your money goals.